Okay, I am seeing a couple of misconceptions on Modest Proposal that I'd like to clear up. You're pretty much on track, and I like that you understand he really doesn't want to eat the babies. Okay. I think the first thing we need to look at is the attitude toward the Irish. They are considered to be nothing more than animals, and if you will look through this, you will see lots of references to the mothers as a dam, to dropping the baby, animal terms, looking at the butcher shops as the shambles or the abattoirs, which is actually their animal terms. So we see them equated to nothing more than animals, and that should, according to probably the way that Swift wrote it, bring us to more of a resolution here that they're just animals. We can eat them. It's okay. This period had so many poverty-stricken people. The English had taken their land, and they were pushed into the cities. There was no work for them, so they really didn't have much choice. And a lot of that was as a result of the penal codes, as you read. The penal codes had long-term effects. They took away the language, they took away the religion, they took away the rights. I think the one that stood out the most to me and was just horrifying was that if somebody walked by and they had a horse, and he was Irish, and the horse was worth more than, I think it was £5, that somebody could actually say, okay, that horse is worth more than £5, I'm taking it, and hand the guy the £5 and leave, even if the horse was worth something like £50. So it was a determined effort to keep them in poverty. There were the hereditary things that if you were Catholic you couldn't inherit. You couldn't leave something to your children if they were Catholic. It was a way to move people to one religion, which is, as we all know, easier to rule. With God as the ultimate authority, people pay attention. There was an extreme famine in 1740. Not enough food, a lot of people starving. And one of the things that the English government did was that they started taking vagabonds. They started taking people who had maybe been arrested for petty theft or something, and they sold them as indentured servants to the Barbados, to areas where they were, to the Americas, places where they were raising sugar cane, places where they needed labor. African slaves simply cost too much. And so these indentured servants that signed contracts, or in this case that the government signed contracts for, wound up working for 5, 6, 7 years. They were supposed to have a stipend when they were released. However, over half of them died because they were worked to death in that last year. So it was a really, really tragic thing. You will see Swift's serious proposal in here. He mentions early on that people are not able to produce enough of their own growth, and too much is being shipped out. And so we see a lot of his serious proposals in this particular piece towards the end. If somebody wants to point that out, it would probably help everybody. You might also point out where the metaphor is. This entire thing is a metaphor, and he tells us it's a metaphor in one line when he talks about the landlords. And so you can kind of look at that. I'd like to see that discussed as well. The last thing that I would really like to see discussed is what is sarcasm and what is satire. They are not the same thing. So if you will look at that and look at those three things and kind of focus your conversation on that for a little while, you'll have an easier time when it comes time to write the paper. Thank you.